The Summer of Unexpected Things. Written by Mary Robinson.
Chapter 1. The Awakening. Rochelle Anderson stumbled across her bedroom, the world tilting on its axis as she fought to steady her feet. Her elegant, deep, ebony skin glistened with a thin sheen of cold sweat that clung stubbornly to her forehead. The August morning light streamed through her window, painting golden stripes across the room's pale walls and dancing on the frame photograph of a smiling young couple. Rochelle's heart lurched as her eyes caught the image of Justin Prescott, forever immortalized in time with that infectious grin of his. Ignoring the pang, she focused on her immediate need. The distance to the bathroom seemed interminable, each step punctuated by the clenching of her unsettled stomach. Finally reaching the cool haven of the bathroom, Rochelle leaned heavily against the sink, breathing in the sterile scent of soap and toothpaste, seeking solace or at least a moment's reprieve from this unnamed malaise twisting inside her. Chapter 2. The Confession of the Stomach. The bathroom door swung slightly ajar with her movement, letting her fall into the tight confines of the room. Her reflection in the small, foggy mirror revealed anxious eyes, chocolate brown orbs deep with untold concerns. Within moments, a convulsion seized her slender frame, and Rochelle knelt beside the porcelain throne, her body purging eagerly everything she'd consumed since it felt fifth grade. Each retch echoed loudly in the small room, a harsh testimony to some unknown betrayal within her bodily fortress. As the last remnants of breakfast, toast with overly generous peanut butter slather, left her in a battering wave, Rochelle leaned back, breathing heavy, clasping the coolness of the tiles as her temporary anchor. Chapter 3. The Mark of Reality. Washing her face with trembling hands, Rochelle Anderson looked at herself with newfound resolve. She took a long look at the trio of pristine white boxes tucked discreetly behind her hair care products. Drawing one, the most expensive of the pregnancy tests, Rochelle seated herself, her mind both a battlefield and a wary observer. Minutes, feeling like lifetimes, lapsed with only the soundtrack of her heartbeat thundering in her ears. Her breath hitched with anticipation and dread as she dared to gaze at the test. Two lines greeted her with solemn finality, marking a path she never envisaged. Chapter 4. A Secret or a Revelation? Pacing back into her bedroom, Rochelle warred with herself, the victorious smile Justin held in their cherished photograph, always in the periphery of her vision. Her mother, with her infinite love yet stringent expectations, was a force unto herself. How could Rochelle weave this clandestine truth into her life's tapestry without unraveling her carefully constructed world? Would she forge forward silent as the night, holding this secret as a dark talisman? Or bravely confess to the luminous possibilities that lay inherent in new life? Chapter 5. Echoes of Love and Loss. A soft sob broke Rochelle's thoughts apart like shards of glass. 4 days, just 4 days since Justin's unforgettable sparkle was eternally extinguished. Memories surged, each bursting with the vibrancy of his laughter, the gentleness of his touch, and the tenderness he safeguarded for her alone. Images cascaded, his hair tousled by the wind, eyes brimming with life, every whispered promise between them a haunting and hallowed reminder. He would never cradle their child, never share in the small joys enveloping a family's heartbeat. Rochelle wrapped her arms around herself, seeking an impossible comfort only he ever provided. Chapter 6. Dana's Boisterous Entry. The sound of the front door was barely audible under the relentless echo of her thoughts. Dana burst in with characteristic exuberance, her voice a bright melody peppering the air. "Girl, I brought all your homework. Don't worry, chemistry might be physics' evil twin, but you'll ace these papers like you always do." Rochelle couldn't help but smile at Dana's infectious energy. She felt her friend's aura pulling her back, whispering assurances of a life that continued amidst ruin. Chapter 7. Laughter, the Best Mask. Dana paused mid soliloquy, hands on hips, an incredulous smirk playing about her lips. Honestly, have you ever heard of a brush and comb? It's like bedhead meets battlefield. A light chuckle escaped Rochelle's lips, a reprieve from the circular thoughts spiraling through her mind. Yeah, let's just say I haven't felt like doing much today. My hair somehow decided to join the circus act. Chapter 8. Memories in Braids. Dana set to work, her deft fingers intricately weaving hundreds of braids with practiced ease. Remember how Justin used to love your hair all braided up like this? He always called you his African princess. Rochelle nodded, the memory a balm and a bruise. Yeah, I remember. His favorite thing. Chapter 9. Hints of the Unseen. What if some piece of Justin lingers, stays around? Dana laughed softly. Girl, you trippin'. It sounds like one of those ghost stories they tell down at the lake. But Rochelle persisted, more earnest than playful, unsure if she sought acknowledgement or disbelief. No, Dana, I'm serious. What if there was more than just memories left behind? Chapter 10. The Brush of Truth. Dana paused, hairbrush in hand, the final braid unfinished as understanding dawned. Rochelle's expression was unguarded, an open book revealing sealed passages. Chapter 11. The Truth Unveiled. The levee broke with Rochelle's voice, steady despite the tears threatening. I'm pregnant with Justin's baby. For a moment, Dana stood silent, digesting this profound truth. Then, with her characteristic flair, she exclaimed, Shut the front door! Franklin Delano, are you serious? You must be joking. The absurdity, the truth, and the sentiment of the moment mingled into laughter that blossomed through tears, as welcome as summer rain on parched earth. In those binding minutes of understanding, an unspoken pact was forged between Rochelle and Dana, radiant as the fray of dawn over a new chapter. Rochelle realized in the tangled web of fate that within silence and laughter, she would find the strength to write the next lines of her story, and Justin's. Chapter 12. In the heart of Cincinnati, summer clung to the city like honey to a spoon, sweet and thick, making every movement languid and deliberate. The late afternoon sun trickled soft amber light through the slatted blinds of Rochelle Anderson's kitchen, creating stripes of warmth on the cool tile floor. Rochelle, with her deep midnight ebony skin glistening under the overhead fluorescent light, stood poised and serene, her fingers curling gracefully around a wooden spoon. She ladled a generous portion of spaghetti, rich with the aroma of fresh basil and sun-drenched tomatoes, into a large ceramic bowl. Across the wide oak table, Dana sat, her deep ebony skin catching the glow from the golden twilight, her curly twists cascading down her back like an obsidian waterfall. Rochelle admired the contrast. Dana's taffy-colored hue and her own midnight shade, both beautiful in their own right. They were like night and day, but bonded by friendship that knew no bounds. Silently, Rochelle placed the heaping bowl of spaghetti before Dana, an offering both literal and metaphorical. Thanks, Chelly. This smells divine, Dana said, her voice a warm chime over the clinking of cutlery. Rochelle just smiled, her heart swelling with the kind of joy only simple moments can bring. Chapter 13. After dinner, the air grew still with tension, a palpable force hovering between words unspoken, waiting for release. Rochelle nudged a plate across the table, her brows furrowing as she braced herself. What if we could maybe somehow, I don't know, this is going to sound so weird. Dana looked up, curiosity piqued, spaghetti momentarily forgotten. What do you mean? She encouraged softly, her eyes pools of understanding. Maybe through the baby, Rochelle continued, her voice tinged with a tremor of hope and fear. Let Justin's legacy live on. I mean, if I am... She faltered, staring at her trembling hands. I don't know. Do you think it would work? Dana tilted her head, contemplative. It was a lot to take in, especially with the weight of possibility hovering over them. Rochelle, listen. We've got 2 more tests in the bathroom, right? We can double check. Better 2 false positives than 1 false and missing something as big as this. Rochelle nodded, a small smile breaking through her anxiety. Yeah, good idea. They set their dishes aside, a shared understanding settling between them, and made their way to Rochelle's bathroom, the simple action of walking humming with the promise of something profound. Rochelle stood by the bathroom sink, her reflection staring back at her with equal parts fear and anticipation. The bathroom was small, quaint, decorated in shades of turquoise and cream, a reminiscent reminder of summer days by the sea. She took a breath, steadying herself, then reached for the test. Dana stood beside her, a comforting presence, like a pillar that kept the world from spinning too fast. Minutes stretched like hours as they waited. When the result appeared, it was blue, an undeniable, unyielding positive. Rochelle's heart tumbled, racing through a labyrinth of emotions, each twist sharper than the last. Chapter 14. Deciding not to leave anything to chance, Rochelle repeated the test, her heart echoing a frantic rhythm that matched the ticking of the small clock mounted on the wall. Again, the blue cross appeared, bold and seemingly brighter with the confirming light of reality. Tears cascaded down her cheeks, a wellspring of fears and dreams crashing into the tangled knot of her throat. How would she tell her mother? How would she navigate this new path with the weight of so many expectations, already balancing precariously on her shoulders? Chapter 15. Dana pulled Rochelle into a hug, her curly twists wrapping them in a cocoon of safety and warmth. Girl, you are in a hot mess, Dana murmured, a mix of affection and concern threading through her voice. Rochelle chuckled, though the sound was more a choked sob, muffled against Dana's shoulder. Her long braids cascaded like an ebony waterfall, moving with the tide of her emotions. I know, she whispered, her voice catching on the brink of laughter and tears. For a moment, they stayed like that, time suspended in a web of shared dreams and whispered confessions, because even in the face of uncertainty, Rochelle knew she wasn't alone. She had Dana, her quiet strength and unwavering support, a North Star guiding her through the storm. In the heart of Cincinnati, where summer lingered and hope was as thick as the oppressive heat, Rochelle Anderson embarked on a journey that would test every ounce of her strength. Yet, in every twist and turn, she found herself anchored not by the fears that held her back, but by the dreams that urged her forward. And in that realization, she discovered the depth of her own courage, weaving a legacy not just for herself, but for the life she now carried inside her. Chapter 16. The moon hung like a silver pendant in the vast indigo sky, silently observing the suburb nestled on the fringes of Cincinnati's heartbeat. Inside one of the Victorian-styled homes, a soft glow emanated from a bedroom window. Rochelle Anderson, with skin like polished ebony and eyes twinkling like distant stars, was engaged in her nightly ritual. Her fingers nimbly worked her long, silken braids, a cascading waterfall of midnight strands coiled and tucked beneath a charming bonnet. Closing her eyes, she felt a day's worth of thoughts begin to unwind. Her junior year at Cincinnati High School had promised new milestones and possibilities, yet an unexpected path unfurled beneath her. As the whispering leaves outside the window sang her to sleep, she murmured a simple prayer of gratitude. For her school, unlike many others, did not enforce uniforms. It was a small but precious freedom she had come to cherish. Chapter 17. As sleep claimed her, her mind danced upon shadows of dreams and realizations. Rochelle was a girl who excelled in every endeavor, wearing invisibly the crown of popularity. She was admired, not for her influence at parties she scarcely attended, but for her remarkable intellectual brilliance and warm, compassionate heart. Chapter 18. The morning sun peeled back night's vastness, its light curling around the edges of the city with soft strokes. Rochelle woke up and drew a deep breath, facing her reflection with steely resolve amidst a sea of growing doubts. Her genes, though accommodating, whispered a secret she knew she could no longer keep hidden for long. A growing child nestled within her, a secret garden of dreams 2 months in their budding. She tugged on larger denim for comfort, a symbol of adaptation more than regret, rubbing her abdomen briefly, as if to telegraph a promise to both herself and the life concealed beneath. Chapter 19. Monday morning traffic slithered by like sluggish waterways, the car horns a constant drizzle over her silent contemplation. Inside the walls of Cincinnati High School, Rochelle walked the corridors lined with lockers, a castle of lessons and whispered gossip. Unease embraced her shoulders, a weight she bore quietly in the bustle of halls. She felt the world leering at her, though the illusion's tendrils unwound with the charm of her smile shared effortlessly with passing peers. Chapter 20. That afternoon, destiny twisted towards an inevitable course. Rochelle sat in the waiting room, its atmosphere serene yet heavy with shared stories, lives entwined in that singular shared yearning. Her heart pulsed in time, with the seconds passing, until Dr. Obi Mulholland, with eyes filled with the warmth of kindling fires, invited her in with the gentleness of a spring breeze. Dr. Mulholland's office was nothing short of sanctuary, walls lined with snapshots of the many lives she'd helped usher into this world. Her presence was a balm, motherly in her inquiry, yet professional in her approach, a touch of home in a sterile, white world. The doctor had not needed to confirm Rochelle's suspicions, but the gentle affirmation wrapped in her words resolved any lingering denial. Chapter 21. The path back home was colored with the golden strokes of a setting sun. Rochelle's heart now held an added spark. She pondered, plucking from the garden of imagination names blossoming into future realities. A daughter? A son? Each name tumbled over her tongue like an incantation, mixing with the melodies of everyday life woven into the world around her. As Rochelle slipped once more into her room, the haven of thoughts shared only with the starlit sky, a melody of a gentle future took root within her. The mystery of life, 1,000 braids interwoven, spun tales yet to come, stories she would one day unfold with pride, courage, and the loving whisper, "Welcome to the world, little one." Thus, in the cocooned warmth of her world, the vast night, a billion unseen stars, dreams unfurling, Rochelle would grow and change, shaping the world as she embraced both vulnerability and strength, crafting destiny one heartbeat at a time beneath the vigilant glow of a celestial tapestry. Chapter 23. In the heart of Cincinnati, nestled between the old elm trees and the bustling cityscape, stood a modest brick house that looked like it had been plucked from another era. To those who passed by, it was simply the Anderson residence, but to Rochelle, it was the center of her universe, a universe that now threatened to crack in half. Rochelle Anderson stood at the doorstep, her hand gripping the doorknob with a resolve that threatened to buckle under the weight of what she carried within her. Dr. Holland's words echoed insistently in her mind, urging her to reveal the secret that had come to define her every waking thought. It's time, Rochelle. Inside, the familiar clatter of dishes and the rustle of newspaper pages mixed with the soft nostalgia of Ella Fitzgerald flowing from the radio. Her mother, Evelyn, sat at the kitchen table, glasses perched on her nose, a crossword puzzle spread out before her. Evelyn glanced up, her smile wide and warm. "Baby cakes, how are you doing?" Rochelle forced a smile, her heart squeezing painfully. "I'm fine," she lied, settling into a chair across from her mother. Evelyn regarded her daughter carefully, eyes narrowing with the wisdom that only a mother possessed. No, you're not. You've been off all month. Rochelle opened her mouth, the truth teetering on the edge of her tongue, but as quickly as the words came, courage ebbed away like a tide. To buy time, she turned her attention to the crossword her mother was working on. Evelyn asked her for a 6-letter word for worn down. Eroded. Rochelle supplied with a sigh, the word heavy with irony. Their conversation drifted through the comfortable familiarity of puzzle clues and shared quiet moments. But the burden in Rochelle's heart grew heavier with each second, and finally it erupted in a sharp cry for help. What's a 7-letter word that means I've freaked up my entire life forever? Evelyn stared back at her, the question hanging ominously in the air. What are you talking about? Rochelle sighed deeply, her chest tightening with a mix of fear and resignation. I'm pregnant, Mom. Evelyn's face paled, the cup of tea in her hand slipping to the table, the clatter lost in the shock that followed her daughter's confession. Chapter 24. The air in the room grew cold, and the radio seemed to fade into the background as Evelyn stood, moving absently towards the counter. She made coffee with trembling hands, the brew turning too sweet, too strong, a testament to her frazzled nerves. Unable to stomach it, she poured the concoction down the drain and started fresh, her motions more deliberate this time. As the scent of fresh coffee filled the air, Evelyn paced. Rochelle watched, feeling small and unmoored. Her mother's silence was both a relief and a punishment, each second stretching into an eternity. I'm sorry, Mommy, Rochelle whispered, the words spilling out almost inaudibly. Evelyn looked at her daughter, eyes glistening under the harsh kitchen light. The silence stretched before Evelyn finally spoke, anger breaking through. How could you, Rochelle? Why couldn't you keep your pants on? Each word was a slap, and Rochelle bowed her head, each accusatory phrase digging into her heart with a bleeding edge. I'm sorry, she murmured again, wishing more than anything she could be anywhere else, anyone else. Disappointment etched lines into Evelyn's face as she crossed her arms, staring at Rochelle with a mix of hurt and disbelief. I'm very disappointed in you, Rochelle, she said, voice cracking slightly. It's not going to be easy. Rochelle nodded, her braids a cascade of midnight black that tumbled down, obscuring her anguished expression. Evelyn's words were a harsh reality, a stark contrast to Rochelle's once chartered course of simplicity and academic achievement. Why would you do such a thing? Evelyn demanded again, the question a whisper of desperation more than rebuke now. Tears welled up in Rochelle's eyes, spilling over faster than she could brush them away. Things just got so mellow and we just rode the wave, I guess, she confessed. When things got that mellow, I don't know why we didn't keep our pants on, Mom. I'm so sorry. Evelyn sighed heavily, the emotion in her chest a storm of conflict and sorrow. It's over now, she said hollowly. As I said, this is your responsibility. Her voice softened, if only slightly. It would have been Justin's too if he were alive. Rochelle nodded again, the memory of Justin a tender ache she sheltered deep within. His loss had been another fracture in her world, a sorrow shared and borne quietly. With a deep breath, she met her mother's gaze, seeking guidance, hope, anything that could help her bridge the chasm before her. How am I going to do this? Evelyn's eyes softened, and a reluctant resolve spread across her weary features. I don't know, she admitted, but you're going to have to. You've just gone from a kid who had nothing to worry about to a young mother who has a whole new set of worries. As she spoke, Evelyn painted the stark expectations clearly. The life Rochelle had to now navigate, inherently filled with struggles unknown. A map without marked paths and baby items rather than school supplies made the journey all the more overwhelming. Rochelle listened, Part of her still a child needing reassurance, another part already shifting, stepping into a role she had never foreseen playing so soon. But with the strength that only comes when standing on the precipice of a daunting new world, she found the courage to meet it head on. As the evening shadows deepened, Rochelle knew this was only the beginning. The path would be hard, marked by challenges, fears, and a responsibility that seemed insurmountable. But amidst that, she felt a flicker of hope, beating faintly but surely. Together, they would find a way forward in this city where reality and dreams intertwined, and perhaps, just perhaps, craft a new entry in their own crosswords that spoke not of mistakes, but of courage and new beginnings. Chapter 27, The Wash Day Ritual. Nightfall descended softly over Cincinnati, painting the cityscape with shadows and flecks of silver under a crescent moon. Rochelle stood at her bedroom window for a moment, watching as the last vestiges of daylight faded into the horizon. Drawing her curtains, she turned to the task ahead, a task familiar yet infinitely sacred. The ritual of wash day was not simply about cleanliness for Rochelle, it was a time-honored ceremony, a rite passed through generations. She gathered her tools and products, each with its special place. The delicate fragrance of jasmine and shea butter enveloped the room as she prepared her bathing chamber. The porcelain tub awaited her, water set to the perfect warmth. Rochelle began her meticulous regimen, starting with a pre-poo treatment to imbue her strands with moisture, a tender prelude to the deeper cleanse. A rich shampoo followed, its lather stripping away the week's burdens of oil and dust. Yet she wielded a second shampoo, one imbued with reparative nutrients, bestowing a subtle sheen to her ebony tresses. The deep conditioner enveloped her hair like a silken veil, each strand soaking in the fortifying oils as Rochelle sat quietly, ruminating under the soft hum of a playlist resonating through her phone speakers. 10, then 15 minutes passed in serene introspection before she rinsed and tenderly applied a final conditioner, sealing in the hydration. Emerging from the bath, Rochelle wrapped her hair in the familiarity of her reserved cotton cloth, a ritual within the ritual. Her eyes reflected a renewed vitality in the mirror. As her damp hair absorbed the rich hair oil and serum, she braided her hair with deft precision into 12 distinct sections, each bun forming a constellation across her crown. The layers were neat, a testament to her attentive care. Chapter 28. With her hair secured and the intricate labor of the evening complete, Rochelle donned her satin bonnet, embracing it with a sigh of satisfaction. The world outside hushed to the gentle rustle of night critters and distant car engines. She sank into her bed, feeling the tranquility she had wrought from her ritual seep into her bones, sweeping her into restful oblivion. Chapter 29. The Choice of Freedom. Morning light filtered through the curtains, casting delicate patterns on Rochelle's walls. She lay in bed for an extra moment, contemplating the day. Today, the weights of routine seemed heavier, her heart longing for the simplicity of solitude. So she lingered in the sanctuary of her room, the outside world held at bay. In this reprieve, Rochelle found freedom. Chapter 30. Return to Structure. The following day, Rochelle returned to the bustling corridors of Cincinnati High School. Noise swept around her, a cacophony of voices and footsteps echoing through the halls. Her presence commanded attention. The epitome of grace, with her long, braided hair swaying to the rhythm of her steps, a cascade of eloquence draped over her shoulders. Respectful nods and warm greetings met her passage. In the weeks that followed, Rochelle found herself gravitating towards new circles, her maturity morphing subtly, almost imperceptibly. It was during one such shift that she encountered Jared, Justin's cousin. Their paths intertwined casually at first, a shared class, a mutual smile exchange between notes and band practice. Jared was a presence unto himself. His honey-colored skin and striking black dreads made him a figure of enigmatic allure. He captained the football team with commanding ease and orchestrated melodies from the heart in the band room. Unbeknownst to their peers, an unspoken affinity grew between them, nurtured by shared glances and private conversations. Neither Rochelle nor Jared dared voice their burgeoning affection, each content in the comfort of silence, eyes holding messages waiting to be deciphered. In their separate circles, Rochelle, the academic paragon, and Jared, the athletic virtuoso, they found common ground enriched by respect and quiet admiration. Their dialogue matured, discussions spanning music, aspirations, and dreams. Jared's tales of football strategies intermingled with Rochelle's literary interpretations, two worlds blending seamlessly. In these exchanges, Rochelle felt a shift within her heart. A burgeon of emotions infused her life with a greater depth of vibrancy. As autumn leaves began to tumble, painting the school grounds in hues of ochre, Rochelle embraced the changes with open arms. Her maturity, once an unchanging fortress, shifted beautifully, a spectrum of logic and emotion, ambition and affection. One evening, as twilight folded the sky into its embrace, Rochelle and Jared found themselves lingering by the school steps, neither wanting to leave the other's company too soon. The conversation flowed effortlessly until silence draped over them, comfortable and rich with potential. Jared turned to her, hesitation briefly etching lines of uncertainty in his brow. "Rochelle," he began, his voice steady yet soft, "I've been meaning to say—" But Rochelle merely smiled, her eyes catching the twilight, symbols of understanding gleaming between them. Perhaps words were unnecessary, for in this transformative silence, they both recognized a shared truth that bound their hearts, a nascent intertwining, defined more by being than saying. In the folds of journeys yet to unfold, Rochelle found herself amid discovery, where the mundane met the profound, carving paths through the fabric of expectation and leading her, hand in gentle hand with life, towards new horizons yet uncharted. Chapter 31. Fantasized, Expected, and Unexpected. The morning sun streamed through the gauzy curtains, casting a warm but gentle glow over Rochelle Anderson's bedroom. As she sat at the edge of her bed, hands resting on her now bold baby bump, her mind was a carousel of names spinning with feverish delight. The doctor's visit had confirmed it. She was expecting a baby girl, and her thoughts were inundated with possibilities as infinite as the stars. Names floated in her mind, each one carrying a lifetime of stories and heritage. Mercy, with its compassion and grace; Carly, light and breezy; Esme, timeless and elegant; and Justina, a nod to her father, whose twinkling eyes always hinted at hidden laughter. Even daring choices like Cora or Nicole felt like treasures unearthed from the depths of her soul. She imagined speaking each name, tasting its sound, envisioning her child's future with it as her banner in the world. The prospect was as thrilling as it was overwhelming, and as Rochelle's fingers traced the round curve of her belly, she found herself whispering each name aloud, hoping perhaps her baby might choose one from the womb. Rochelle's deep, ebony skin shimmered under the morning light, her long, straight braids cascading down her back like a waterfall of night. Though her heart brimmed with anticipation, her academic diligence never faltered. She was, after all, the pride of Cincinnati High, a straight-A student, destined for achievements as lofty as her dreams. Chapter 32. Reflections in Glass. Later that evening, Rochelle stood before the bathroom mirror. Her reflection bore the testament of growth, not just of the life within her, but of her own spirit. The baby bump seemed almost larger than life, a perfect roundness that suggested twins rather than a single life. She chuckled softly, turning slightly to examine the swell from different angles, her braids swaying with each movement. Could a single soul take up so much space, demand so much room in her heart already filled with love? She pondered this as the faint sounds of her parents' nighttime rituals crept through the hallway, a gentle hum of familial comfort that never failed to reassure her. Chapter 33: The Football Game. Excelsior Field was alive with energy, the scent of fresh grass mingling with popcorn, the sharp whistle of the referee, and the echoing cheers from the stands created an electric atmosphere. Rochelle sat with her best friend Dana, immersed in the exhilarating chaos of a high school football game. The Excelsior Wildcats were pitted against Cincinnati High, and every leap and charge painted a story of rivalry and youth. Amidst the excitement, Rochelle felt the familiar twinge of a contraction ripple across her abdomen, sharp but bearable. Dismissing them as Braxton Hicks, she marveled instead at the agile players in the field, unaware of the imminent storm brewing inside her own body. As the final whistle blew and the crowd began its jubilant exit, Dana and Rochelle ambled toward Dana's Ford Focus, the night air cold and clear. "Great game," Dana commented, her blonde curls bouncing as she moved. Rochelle nodded, her mind only half there. Again, a contraction surged through her, stronger this time. She winced, gripping the car door for support. "Rochelle, are you okay?" Dana's voice cut through her focus, concern etching her features. "I'm fine, just these practice contractions again," Rochelle assured her, though her resolve wavered. But within moments of driving away from the field, her earlier certainty unraveled. The contractions intensified, each wave more ferocious than the last. Chapter 35: Confronting the Unexpected. "Oh!" Rochelle exclaimed, wide-eyed as another contraction hit. Panic edged into Dana's voice as she quickly pulled the car into a nearby rest stop. "Little mama," she urged, "you're not okay. Do we need to get help?" Rochelle shook her head, gasping through the pain. "They're just 10 minutes apart, I think." Dana wasn't convinced. "That's close, Rochelle." Without pause, she dug her phone out and began frantic calls to EMS, Rochelle's parents, even her own mom. Rochelle managed a strained, grateful smile, though tears of discomfort pooled in her eyes. "Thank you, Dana," she murmured amidst the storm of pain. Chapter 36: The Final Push. The rest stop was quiet, save for Rochelle's sharp breaths and Dana's nervous pacing. Time ceased to move in its usual rhythm, stretching unbearably between each agonizing moment. Rochelle's vision blurred as the contractions became relentless, reducing her to screams of bloody frustration. A crescendo of wailing sirens signaled rescue, the ambulance's beacon light cutting through the night like a herald of hope. Paramedics swarmed, their calm efficiency a balm to Rochelle's escalating panic. As they gently helped her into the ambulance, Rochelle clung to Dana's hand, her steadfast anchor in a storm she never anticipated facing so soon. "Rochelle, you're in good hands now," Dana assured softly, her eyes full of unshed tears, reflecting the bravery Rochelle now wore as fiercely as a shield. With the ambulance door shutting behind her, Rochelle leaned back on the stretcher, a sigh escaping her parched lips as she finally relinquished control to the skilled hands around her, carrying her to a new chapter in life: motherhood. And somewhere deep within her, the tiny life she nurtured stirred, as if acknowledging the name whispered in gentle trust, ready to meet the world filled with possibility. A soft amber light filtered through the hospital's window blinds, casting stripes across the sterile room where Rochelle Anderson lay. The rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor was a steady companion to her labor, a heartening reminder that things were progressing. Curled up in a hard-backed hospital chair, Jared Prescott exuded a muted confidence, his eyes trained on Rochelle's every move. With each contraction, he was there, holding her hand, whispering soothing words that wove an insulating cocoon around the young mother-to-be. Rochelle, with her deep ebony skin glistening under the clinical light, remained a vision of resilient beauty and determination. Her thousands of long braids, straight and cascading gracefully across her shoulders, seemed to echo the fluid grace with which she was facing the ordeal. Jared, the unofficial father's love, was expressed in the small gestures: a damp cloth against her forehead, a gentle squeeze of her hand, a shared look that cut through the pain with promises of better, joyous days. His unwavering presence was the calm in Rochelle's storm, and though he arrived late, the timing was no less perfect. He was there when she needed him most, through every rise and fall of her contractions, a steadfast anchor in the tide of childbirth. Chapter 32. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity cradled in both pain and hopeful anticipation, the doctor entered with a smile that touched his eyes. "Good job, Rochelle. You have a new baby girl," he declared, his words a balm soothing the past hour's trials. Rochelle gasped, disbelief and joy mingling in her expression as she held the tiny, pink-skinned figure swaddled in blankets. "Really?" she breathed, her voice cracking under the weight of overwhelming emotions. "Yes," the doctor nodded, the pride in his voice resonating with genuine warmth. "A new, beautiful, although 1 month premature baby girl." Rochelle gazed down at her daughter, noting the dark curls already nestled atop her head, akin to her own treasured braids, an undeniable echo of her heritage. Her skin was a lay of delicate shades between Rochelle's deep hue and a creamy undertone. Yet, it were her eyes, those striking cocoa brown eyes like Jared's, that tied this little human to him so unmistakably. A bond intricately woven by blood and circumstance, yet seemingly sewn by destiny's own hands. Chapter 33. There, amidst the antiseptic smells of the hospital room, under the watch of cherubic baby blues and weary adults alike, a new chapter unfurled. As if prompted by the same rhythm that governed their hearts, Jared, in an unexpected ballet of chance and choice, reached into his pocket and presented a dazzling surprise. "Rochelle," Jared started, his voice a soft rumble that sent ripples of suspense around the room. The ring was simple yet elegant, a perfect match for the woman it was meant for. "Would you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" Time seemed to dilate as Rochelle's mother, standing watchful at the edge of this scene, nodded her approval with a proud, tear-lined smile. "He's the baby's father, her godfather," she reasoned gently, the matriarch's decree sliding into place like a satisfied jigsaw piece. "He should move in." Blending together their lives like colors on an artist's palette, the proposition was accepted with an enthusiastic yes from Rochelle, and an embrace ensued that spoke beyond the silence where words fell short. The warmth of family, of new beginnings, coated the clinical harshness with a comforting frost. Chapter 34. The halls of the hospital bore witness to an unbridled joy that echoed in laughter and heartfelt exchanges. At the heart of the jubilation was Rochelle, now a bride-to-be, but more crucially, a mother supported by the unwavering presence of Jared. There was relief laced in with the joy, relief that she would not be alone, that her dreams of stability and family were finally taking root. Deciding on the name Justina Prescott was an act of declaring new pathways, a declaration that despite the tangled web of relationships and truths left unspoken, this baby was Jared's as much as she was hers, an act of love and protection. Despite the complex tangle of lineage from which Justina was born, Jared, with his resemblance to his cousin, wrapped the truth in a guise of familial resemblance. It was a tale interwoven with love and omission, one told only among inner circles lest questions arise from corners best left undisturbed. It was a fantasy-driven embrace of fresh starts, where the present held precedence over the past, a world where love, by whatever mysterious means it came, was enough. And so life continued to bloom for Rochelle Anderson, the once quiet, smart, and kind hearted popular girl, now central to a tapestry far more complex and beautiful than anyone at Cincinnati High ever dared to imagine.